Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Daryl Urbanski, your host as always. And today we are joined by Shiraz Baboo, the founder of Energetic Magic, a transformational coach helping coaches break through invisible limits and create consistent high income and impact. Known as a reality interventionalist, Shiraz helps clients rewrite the unconscious beliefs blocking their success so they stop being the best kept secret and become sought after leaders in their space. His unique process blends mindset mastery with energetic alignment, helping coaches attract clients, wealth, and freedom with ease. I've asked Shiraz to join us today to share his story and how we can release struggle, step into our power, and unleash our full potential. So Shiraz, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, Daryl. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, it's an honor, pleasure to have you here. Now, before we talk about what you do and how you help people, how did you even get started in this? Is this like a generational family business that you're in? Are you just carrying
No,
the
not at all.
torch?
No.
What did your
So
parents?
my father was a doctor. My mom was a nurse.
Oh, okay. So how did you get into entrepreneurship?
I think part of it is that I ran my first company at the age of 14 years old. And there's an organization called Junior Achievement here in Canada. I don't know if you have it in the US, but I found out about it. It was a student-run business for the summer. We made clocks, sold them door to door, and I was the finance manager of the company. So that's pretty much where my first entrepreneurial adventure started. But I did end up going to college, learning computers, went into corporate. The issue was at 22 years old, I got rheumatoid arthritis,
Hmm.
and it was in every single joint in my body. So there were nights where I couldn't eat my dinner. I had to sip it through a straw because my jaw was so swollen and painful, I couldn't move it.
Wow.
And of course, when something like that happens, I go into depression. I had to stop working for a while. I'm asking the questions like, why is this happening to me? What did I do to deserve this? And what am I supposed to do next? And eventually I picked myself up, started going. I had to function in a world where there's constant pain. And I don't know if you know this about arthritis, but at any given time, they're experiencing 2 to 10 times as much pain as a normal person, 2 to 10 times as much effort to get through the day.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, so, I mean, I remember when I was dating a girl one time and she's just like, you get up, you get dressed, you shower, you clean up and make breakfast and stuff, and then you go lie on the bed. And I'm like, because I'm exhausted. She's like, this is just getting up. And I'm like, I know. I learned to live with it, built up the pain tolerance so I could function somewhat normally, but everyone could see that there was something going on. And losing all the cartilage between my joints till I was grinding bone on bone when I'm walking. And I'm trying everything. I'm trying medication, I'm trying diet and supplements, and then I'm trying other stuff that people wouldn't normally do, like acupuncture, yoga, meditation. Nothing is working. Until finally, I went to this program called Combined Therapy, where they said they'd cured people of every disease. And I'm
Hmm.
like, how do you cure people of every disease? And if they do that, why aren't they world famous and why isn't everyone using these people? But I said, you know what? Let's go try it. I've tried just about everything else. Let's see what happens. And I worked with this guy, and he sat me down and just talked to me for like 2, 3 weeks. And I'm trying to figure what's going on here because I'm like, what is this whole thing that you're just talking to me? And it's like being with a psychiatrist, only he's not even trying to solve anything. He's just gathering all this information on my life. And I'm like, what is going on here? And so finally, after a while, he goes, so you think you're responsible for everyone in your life? And I said, no, I don't. He said, no, I know you don't think you do, but from everything we've talked about, all the stuff that's gone on in your life, you've created a belief that you need to be responsible for everyone. And I said, okay, I know I'm a responsible guy. I'm always a designated driver. I like to make sure everyone gets home safe, take care of my friends, but I don't think I'm responsible for everyone. That's a lot. And I said, but even if that's true, what's that got to do with arthritis? There's no connection. And he goes, oh, no, you don't want to be responsible for everyone. That's too much work. And I said, obviously. And if you're lying in bed in pain, you don't have to be responsible for anyone and you don't have to feel guilty about it. If people see you struggling to get through the day, they're not going to ask you to take care of them. Your arthritis isn't your problem, it's your solution.
Hmm.
And I'm like, that's messed up. I have no cartilage in my joints. I'm in pain all the time. Why would I do that to myself? And he goes, because your mind doesn't care about your physical status. It cares about your emotional status. And
Mm.
you can't take care of everyone. So you were constantly feeling guilty because you didn't have the bandwidth to take care of everyone. So your mind had to come up with a way that you couldn't feel guilty. And you can't feel guilty if you're in pain all the time and struggling just to take care of yourself. That's its solution. And I'm like, what? And so I said, okay, so wait a sec. And, I'm raised in science, computers. I went to the logic of it. And I said, if what you're saying is true, then all I have to do is not be responsible for anyone, and the arthritis should just go away like magic. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, what? And he goes, if you believe it deep down, right? Like, and it's hard for people. Most people say, okay, I'll do it, but they don't actually do it because things are so ingrained in them. But if you actually believe you don't need to be responsible for anyone, then you don't need the arthritis. So I said, okay, I'm not going to be responsible for anyone but me. And you know what happened in that moment, Daryl?
What?
Nothing. Okay. But the next morning I woke up and there was no pain, there was no inflammation. I had more mobility. I am freaking out because it's been 18 years of drugs, of diets, of all these supplements, of all these things. Nothing's worked. This guy says stop being responsible, and overnight, boom.
Wow.
Right? Now, to be clear, the damage done to my body was still
Right.
there. And I've been repairing that damage and getting more mobility and getting stronger and everything. But the arthritis was just gone.
Wow. Wow.
Okay. And so that's the thing. Every physical problem in your life, whether it's illness, whether it's lack of money, whether it's bad relationships, every physical problem that is consistent in your life is the solution to an emotional problem you're not looking at. And when
Mm.
you solve the emotional problem, the physical problem goes away.
So your mind doesn't care about your physical status, it cares about your emotional status. So every physical problem in your life is there.
Is the solution for an emotional problem you're not looking at. So, for instance, I've found that one of the biggest things that keeps coaches from getting to six figures is not lack of skill. It's not even self-confidence. It's not worthiness. It's guilt for having more than other people.
Mm.
If I have this cushy, easy life, I feel guilty that all these other people are struggling, especially the heart-centered entrepreneurs. They're like, that's not fair. Life's not fair if some people have all the wealth and the ease and the stuff while other people are struggling. And you don't want to be part of that group of people that's got all the wealth and ease if you think it's unfair.
Mm.
So that's
Right.
guilt, right? So then you unconsciously sabotage to make sure you don't go past that six-figure mark or whatever that mark is for you that says that's too much. And then consciously you're frustrated. I'm doing all the right things. I'm marketing properly. I've got the right deals. I've created the right products. Why isn't anyone buying this? Or why can't I get the sales I want? And it's because you don't want them. You
Mm.
just don't know you don't want them.
Sorry, we really jumped into the meat and potatoes here. That's very interesting. So what do you recommend to someone who's struggling or starting out with this journey of addressing that in themselves? Like when you say that, I thought about, sorry, a sidebar, but I thought about the time I'm Canadian. I went to Canada Post in Etobicoke, and I remember I had to ship something into the States. I needed it to be there as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And the guy behind the counter was arguing with me because like, bro, you can ship this for whatever, $12 and it'll be there in 4 days. It's still going to I promise you, it's still going to be there because the overnight delivery was $50 or something. And I had to
Yeah.
argue with him because I'm like, I don't care that it's going to cost because I need it there now. Like I need
Yeah.
it there. And he was imposing on me his personal views and position and situation, if that
Yes.
makes sense. And that's what I feel like you're explaining, that people, they're in a situation and they don't realize how almost like a magnet repelling, two North Pole magnets repelling each other. They may
Yeah.
be like, I'm trying and I'm doing this, but they don't realize that they're pushing things away in a physical sense because of some
Yeah.
sort of emotional blockage, for lack of a better word. Is that a
Yeah.
fair assessment? So what do you recommend to people starting out or struggling with this?
When you have that constant physical problem, then instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what's the benefit here I'm not seeing? Why do I want this to keep showing up in my life? What is it protecting me from? Those are the kind of questions you want to ask. And that's what's going to cause the answers to bubble up from your subconscious. And I get a lot of people coming to me to make more money, and I have several questions that almost always triggers them. And I'm like, would you like to have tons and tons of money? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. You're okay if everyone comes up and says, can I have some? Can you invest in my company? Can you give to my charity? Can you take care of me? Oh, no. Well, then you don't want the money. Because if you have an emotional reaction to that, that's emotional distress. Your mind says, we can't have emotional distress. And it's about the money. Get rid of the money. All right. Now, if you're okay with people coming up and saying, can I have some money? And you're like, no, like no emotional distress. Or, you know what? It's a great cause. I love it. Absolutely. Yes. No emotional distress. Then you're okay. But if you don't want to be pressured, if you don't want to be guilted, if you don't want to be overwhelmed, those are all emotions coming up.
Interesting. So can you walk me through this a bit more in the sense of, for some people, they've never had the money. Since it's an easy one to discuss. So where does this come from? Is it just, was it false evidence appearing real? Is it an imagined thing that they don't want to have? Do you know what I'm saying?
For most people, you are running the beliefs that your parents ran. So if your parents didn't have a lot of money, you grew up with that mindset of this is just how much money there is. They'll impart beliefs onto you. I remember one person in one of my classes, the parents used to always say you can be poor and happy or rich and miserable. And those are the two choices that were stuck in her brain.
And that's perpetuated in movies and shows. It's always the evil rich guy, or girl. They're always evil. They're always bad. Wealth is never a good thing. Money is everywhere, too. I think about this a lot sometimes. The road you're driving down, it costs dollars to put every inch of that road in place. Every building that you pass by, apartment complex, is owned by somebody, and it costs money to build it, costs money to maintain it. Every person you see on the street, every car you see on the road has at least one person in it, and everybody has pockets, and in those pockets is usually some money. So you're right, money is everywhere. It's amazingly abundant when you really think about it.
So we haven't even got to the worst part yet.
Okay.
So let's say that you grew up and you were told you have to work hard to succeed.
Right.
Common belief, you have to work hard to succeed. You're not going to succeed sitting on your butt all day. That's actually not true. You have to be willing to work hard to succeed. You don't actually have to work hard to succeed. Because there are people out there that are succeeding that aren't working hard at all. How is that possible if you have to work hard to succeed? There are people out there that are working their asses off and not succeeding. If you have to work hard to succeed, then that doesn't make any sense either. Working hard is not part of making money, but the willingness is, because if you're not willing to work hard, you're putting up resistance. So now you've got this belief you have to work hard to succeed. So what happens is you work hard and you have put in a good day's work, you've worked hard, you give yourself a hit of dopamine for a hard day's work. And so now every day you work hard, you hit yourself with dopamine, day after day after day. And then someone says, hey, work smarter, not harder. And you're like, what? And they show you how to work smarter, not harder. You're like, oh my God, this is way better. So now you start working smarter. You don't work as hard. There's no dopamine hit. You don't have your dopamine hit at the end of the day. Your body is like, where's my dopamine hit? It actually goes into physical withdrawal because it is now not getting its drugs. It is the same thing as alcohol addiction, cigarette addiction. It is now not getting its fix. So it starts sending signals to your brain that say, go back to the old habits because I need my fix. That's its priority. It doesn't care that your life just got better. It wants its fix. And this is why people will see that they start to come out of it and then they lose it. It's not that the thing they were doing doesn't work. It's withdrawal kicks in. You don't realize it. You think it's just circumstance. Oh, I missed that appointment, or the computer failed, or whatever it is. You just think it's life, but it's withdrawal.
So how do we fix that?
There are two ways to fix it. Number one is to work your way through the withdrawal and be aware I'm in withdrawal. Let me get back on the right path. Right. And then you'll start to see progress. You'll start to lose it, correct yourself, a little more progress, start to lose it, correct yourself. And eventually you will be out of that addiction. It takes on average 6 months to get out of an addiction. The second way is to replace the addiction. So for
Right.
instance, I used to work hard to succeed. And then I realized, well, what if I got my fix from things being really easy? Like someone coming up with the solution for me or doing the work, or I figure out a shortcut. And so every time something was easy, I'd anchor that in. I was like, oh, that was easy. Yes. And I'd give myself a dopamine hit. And so as I kept giving myself more and more dopamine hits for things getting easy, it was opposing the dopamine hits for working hard. So my body just gave up on those because I was so focused on these, because I was intentionally creating that addiction. And so now, for the most part, my life is easy. Are there days where I work hard? Yes. But I don't get my fix out of working hard. I get my fix when everything just works out for me. And so more and more and more, everything just works out for me.
That
And I'm
makes sense.
addicted to it. Yeah.
That makes sense. Well, you're optimizing for comfort.
Yeah.
And you've established the parameters. Sorry if I'm getting hyper analytical here, but you've established the parameters for your comfort. And so you're out of comfort if that's not the case.
Yeah. And the thing is, you are always going to be addicted to something, to multiple things, actually. Your body uses it to maintain homeostasis. Needs to do that. When you start consciously choosing your addiction instead of letting life just determine what the addiction is, your whole world changes. And that's what reality intervention is all about, because everyone has a reality addiction.
So this is super interesting. So what are the biggest mistakes you see your clients and other entrepreneurs making? Like they understand this, they go, okay, Shiraz, but where are they tripping up?
Biggest thing is impatience. It takes a while for things to adjust, and they want results now. Everyone is like, I need it now. This is a long game. It's like you're trying to become a bodybuilder and you've worked out 2, 3 times at the gym. And you're like, where is it? And even when you become a bodybuilder, you can't just stop working out. You've got to maintain. And unless you get that, you're not going to get the results you want. Once you get that, it's interesting because you start to get those results. And every now and then, some miracle just shows up, like a shortcut shows up, something works out for you, and it just feels magical. And then you continue on your journey.
Yeah, that makes sense. We live in such a world of instant gratification. I think people have lost respect for the process of even the seasonality of things. There's a season where you sow and there's a season where you reap. You can't really, with things in our life, it's tough to find shortcuts because it's not like, oh, I want a lemon tree, I want an apple tree, and I can go buy one that's been growing for 3-5 years from somebody, and then I get apples my first year. In a lot of things, when it comes to working on ourself and personal development, we're starting with seeds.
Yep.
And that requires, like your gym analogy, it takes 21 plus days. You're not going to see a huge improvement in 21 days, but you'll be surprised what you get in 90 days. So what does doing the work look like?
It is staying in that full intentionality and on a regular basis, looking at the two sides to it. Number one, removing the beliefs that are causing the addiction. And number two, intentionally creating your life. I love the analogy of the seeds because it just reminded me of what Jesus said. If you have the faith of a mustard seed, you can move mountains.
Yes.
I often ask people, what do you think that means? And they said, it means you just got to have a little bit of faith. And I'm like, no, it means you have to have absolute faith. And they're like, what? No, it's just a mustard seed. It's a tiny seed. And I said, listen, a mustard seed knows it's going to become a mustard plant. It has zero doubt that's what it's going to become. And a mustard plant is incredibly strong from this tiny little seed. So it grows into this powerful thing. As human beings, we're like, I'm a mustard seed. Let me start growing. Oh, this feels a little bit hard. Let me try orange tree. Oh, that didn't work. Grapevine. And you're wondering why you're not getting the results because your faith isn't strong enough that no matter what shows up, this is my result. That is the faith of a mustard seed.
Yeah, it's funny. You remind me of Jim Rohn, who's like the godfather of personal development. And in one of his talks, he talks about when people ask, he ask somebody, where'd your money go? And they go, oh, I don't know. It's just gone. And he's like, oh, well, we should put you in charge of the world. You don't know where it goes. that what matters the most, like that's just no one's going to say that, right? Like it matters how you manage things when they're small, because that becomes the foundation for the bigger things. You have to manage the pennies. So when you get dollars, you don't waste them. A fool and their money are soon parted, so to speak. And so if you don't manage it well, and I think that's what you're saying, you have to start with unshakable faith. Now, what do you do? Because I heard this great quote the other day that said, the successful are the ones that outwork failure while the voices of doubt in their head scream. And I don't know if
that's one way to do it. Yeah. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because I'm talking about, like, in that scenario, it's like I will outwork failure. Because we all start in failure. When I go to ride a bike, we all begin in failure. I'm going to get good at shooting 3-pointers of basketball. I'm going to fail so hard. I have to outwork that failure till I start developing. But if I don't, so at the same time, though, what you're saying is the voices of doubt screaming. How do you handle that? How do you navigate that aspect of it?
You have to remember that failure is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
You've just been educated to think it's a bad thing. And what I love is that when we're really young, we're not educated to think failure is a bad thing. But at some point, our parents decide from now on, it's bad. Like you're trying to walk and you fall and your parents don't go, don't just give up. You suck at it. Right? Like, they'll come on. Like they let you fail and fail till you get walking. And then you're in school and you bring a bad grade back and they're like, what is this? As opposed to, oh, you could do it. Just like they're not giving the same language as when you were a little kid, because that's what their parents taught them, which is what their parents taught, which is what their parents taught. So they're just repeating. And when you get that failure is just learning and there's no shame in it, then you don't mind failing. I fail and I fail and I fail over and over again. And that's what gets me my success. There was Michael Jordan talked about how he's missed like 3,000 shots in his career. And he goes through and he talks about I failed and I failed and I failed, and that's why I succeed. And so that's one of the things. The other thing is to hold that vision of the life you want to create. And especially hold the feeling of it. Because thoughts can manifest, emotions can manifest, thought plus emotion combined manifest powerfully. There was actually a device, and I haven't been able to find it, but I remember when I was doing all my research on this, and I love to go into the science of it. And they said they were measuring electrical output and magnetic output from a person's body, because of that, we emit both of those things. And they had the person thinking a thought, and there was a certain level of electrical output and magnetic output, and it was all coming out of the head. And then they had that person add emotion to that thought. And they said suddenly the signal stopped coming out of their head, slid down and started coming out of their heart. And the electrical output was 100 times as powerful. The magnetic output was 5,000 times as powerful.
Wow.
That's the power of manifestation. So when you get that, like for me, this was like an experiment I did for myself. I had come back from Cancun and then they were putting the pictures up on Facebook. And I looked at my stomach and I'm like, oh my God, when did I put that much weight on? My stomach looks huge. This must stop. And I also knew I was not going to go to the gym. I just did not have the frame of mind to go to the gym yet, even though I'm looking at it going, this has to. So I thought, okay, what do I know? And I said, manifestation. So what I did was go for a walk every single morning, about 40 minutes. So during my walks, instead of listening to an audiobook or just letting my mind wander or whatever, I used to work out before the arthritis. So I went back into my mind of me doing a workout. So I imagined in real time doing the bench presses, doing the curls. And I found that my arms started to make the motions too. My breathing started to match that. In my mind, I was seeing from my first person point of view, doing and feeling that workout for the 40 minutes that I went for the walk. And after 6 weeks, I'd gone down 1 belt size and I'd started to put on muscle mass. And I wasn't actually working out. Because when you're fully immersed in your mind, your muscles actually fire. This has been proven in multiple studies.
Yeah, and actually to add to that, ironically enough, your body grows in unison. So if you have an arm cast, but you exercise your other arm, both will increase muscle mass. Now, the right arm that's not in a cast will increase to a greater extent, but it still happens. Whereas the other arm's inert, it's in a cast.
Yep. So now each morning I've been working out by walking. And keep in mind, it's not just this casual, I imagine. I'm fully immersed in the gym the entire walk.
Mm-hmm.
And building your mental muscles to do that takes work. But that's something I've been doing since I got back from that session to get the arthritis. He taught me how to do the mental muscle exercise, and I teach people how to do that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you build the muscle so you can hold thoughts consistently. And then I was just holding that thought consistently for 40 minutes, different exercises, different things. And then one morning I woke up and I'm like, I need to work out. Because in my mind, I'd been working out for 6 weeks. And so now I craved the actual physical workout. And then I started to physically work out every morning. And now the muscle mass was getting even more powerful because now it's really being triggered by the weights. And so went down another belt size, put on more weight up. And I'm like, holy crap, now I work out in the morning. And I know this is different because when I used to go to the gym, it was always in the evening. That was my habit. I could never get motivated in the morning, but because my brain had been learning, you work out every single morning.
Yeah, no, visualization's been used in Olympics and professional athletes forever. So visualization is a very well documented strategy for helping accomplish things and training your brain. Your body doesn't know when you watch. That's why we cry when we watch a movie, because when you see the person cry, and that's happening in our mind because it's what we're seeing. Yeah. Is you empathize, you're actually emotionally resonating with the external world in a certain way. And so there was a book called The New Psycho-Cybernetics that was espoused by Dan Kennedy and Michael Malcolm. It was the whole concept of this based on a ton of research about the power of visualization and feeling with it.
So now imagine visualizing closing sales calls, rocking it out on stage. Whatever it is that you need to do in your business, you're constantly visualizing it. Your brain is being rewired to say, well, this is who I am, because it doesn't know the difference. And this is the key thing. If you go thought to thought every few seconds, but if you've got consistent thought with the feelings, it does not know the difference. And so it starts the rewiring process until that's just who you are.
Going back to the money one, I think this is an important one, because if you feel a lot of anxiety and I'm definitely not perfect, so I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm on some high horse, but if you feel anxiety in any way around it, that facilitates like issues with it, I think, in the sense of wealth is not what you have, it's who you are. A lot of people that are very wealthy, money comes and goes. You know, a lot of the top millionaires have been bankrupt once or twice. I mean, look at Elon Musk. I'm an advocate. I'm a fan of Elon Musk because he's the only man that I know that's bet his entire fortune when he's had generational wealth, and he's bet the whole thing 3 times because he had a vision and an identity of who he wanted to be and what he wanted the world to become. And it was close a lot of times. I think with the SpaceX, he had enough money for 3 tests. All 3 tests failed, and he managed to scrap together enough for a 4th. And the 4th was a success, which was great, but he was broke. He was going to be declaring bankruptcy. And it was like at the 11th hour, NASA called him and granted him a contract that he didn't think he was going to get. But at one point, he was almost bankrupt. And now he's the richest person. So it's not your bank account. So again, it comes back to your relationship with money. And, you know, where I am now is not necessarily who I am. Maybe you should speak to that, because I feel like I'm trying to guide the conversation. But ultimately, that's just what you made me think of. Because changing your mindset means that everything is always going to be sunshine and rainbows. That's why you said you have to be willing to work hard. Because there are going to be periods.
There's going to be times. And it's like right now, I am working my ass off. And I'm going to be for a few weeks. But it's a choice. They call it inspired action, where you just want to do something so badly, you're constantly working at it. And for me, I came up with the idea for a new book. And I want to launch this book at my New Year's Eve event. So it's got to be done. It's got to be edited. It's got to be laid out on the pages and then sent to the publisher. So I got a whole bunch of stuff to do before December 31st. So I'm writing, I'm 4 chapters in. It's going to be about 9 chapters long. But I'm just like empowered to do it. So I'm up late every night. They're just typing away. And so, but it's that unwavering faith. This is what's going to happen. This is the outcome. It's definitely going to happen. I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure it happens. And I see a lot of people, it's like, I'd like it to happen. I hope it happens. And the one thing that freaks people out when I say, get out of hope. And they're like, what? No, hope. Like hope is going to get you through. Hope is sucks because hope is maybe something will come along and save me. Whereas you want certainty, whereas this is going to happen.
Gotta claim it.
Yeah. And so when you are in absolute certainty, it has to show up. This is a universal law, right? And you know this because you experience it yourself. There are certain things where you just know that's what's going to happen. Like I'll be in a room and ask the audience who always finds the best parking spots, and all these hands go, yes, absolutely, always find the best spot. Zero doubt in these people's minds for the best parking spots. And I'm like, what if you applied that zero doubt of finding a parking spots to zero doubt of I'm making $1 million this year? They're like, well, that's different. I'm like, no, it's not. You just think it's different. You're making it different in your mind, but it's exactly the same thing. It requires the same amount of energy to think your way across the room as it does to think yourself going across the universe.
I've heard this said, and I feel like it's the same way. I hope it's my same understanding, but that if you do all you can do in pursuit of your goal, you cannot fail. The problem is most people aren't doing all they can do.
Yeah.
They're just making excuses. Is that similar? Because when you said it, inspired action, it made me think of a couple of times I've achieved things that people were surprised by. One, this is 2013, I think. I got my book hit #1 on Amazon for the top 100 marketing sales years ago. Another time, my now wife and I were at the beach and some dude stole our bag with our phones and our wallets and stuff. And we're on this island. Takes 12 plus hours driving from one side to the end. And I tracked this dude down and I got everything back. And I didn't speak Tagalog. I wasn't a local. People were like, I got on national television. And it was because you talked about that inspired action. I became driven about something.
Yeah. And that's the thing. People, when you get into that mode, you don't need to sleep. You don't need to eat. You are sustained. You get this energy out of nowhere and you just keep going. And it also can affect how reality warps around you. Steve Jobs was known for having a reality distortion field. That's what they called it. He decided something was going to be done and it got done. I've experienced that on multiple occasions. And the one that just blew my mind was it's in the Toronto subway station, Yonge and Bloor. So you probably know that one. Rush hour. Okay. So I needed to get on this train to get to an appointment. And I come up the escalator and I just see the sea of people. And the train is pulled in and I'm like, I need to be on that train. And then the doors open, people are all trying to stuff their way in and other people coming out. And then I'm like, I'm doing it. I'm getting on that train. And I just started walking and the doors closed. And I'm still at least like 50 meters away from this thing. But for some reason, I was just in that zone that I'm getting on this train. And I kept walking until I got to the door, at which point the doors opened, let me in, and then closed again. And then I turned around and looked out the window and I see the sea of people. And I'm like, how did I just walk through that sea of people? Because I didn't feel anyone bump against me or anything. I just walked through and the doors opened for me and closed for me. And I could see the expression on the people's face on the outside, like, what the hell just happened? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, my wife calls it in the zone. She knows when I'm in the zone. She's like, I just need to get out of his way. There's nothing going to stop him until he gets that. So that's what we're talking about. Inspired action. I love that term. That's really powerful. So what are some of the habits that you feel are most important to develop on this path to create, life by design, so to speak?
First one, hold that vision of the life you want and feel what it's like to have that as though it's already been there for a while. So one of the things people make a mistake of is they go to that moment of excitement when they already have it. But excitement is not sustainable. And it's not the feeling you'll have when you're that person. You're not going to be excited all the time. So you want to go to that feeling of, well, this is my life now. It's so nice. I love this life. This feels so good. That's the emotions you want to get to when you anchor the vision of who you are. And when you're doing that vision, if you're doing it from the first person, your brain doesn't know that it's real or not real. So just keep your mind there. And then each day, if it hasn't shown up yet, you want to ask yourself, what is the thing I can do today that's going to have the biggest impact to get me from here to that vision. And the key thing there is biggest impact, not most work. So it could be I have to work my butt off for 12 hours today. It could be I have to make a 2-minute phone call to a key person that's going to accelerate my business. And if you do that every single day, you will move exponentially quicker to your goal. The statistics show that people do something like that on average once a year, and they wonder why they don't get the results. It has to be every day.
Yeah, if something's important to you, you do it every day.
Yeah.
I find it's more easier to monitor, did I do this today, than did I do it 3 times this week? Did I do it once this week? Did I do it 4 times? Daily. It's a yes or no. Is it done today or not question.
Yeah. The thing is, most people get into this thing that I've been really busy today, therefore I'm moving closer. I'm like, no, busyness does not get you to your goal, right?
I actually, I want to read. I have, you plan your work with your plan. I have a doc where I plan my day, like a calendar. I have kids and stuff. You have to organize your life. But I have a tab that says daily reads. And if it's okay with you, I want to read this. It's about 30 seconds.
Yep.
Time is the inexplicable raw material of everything. With it, all is possible. Without it, nothing. The supply of time is truly a daily miracle and genuinely astonishing when one examines it. You wake up in the morning and lo, your purse is magically filled with 24 hours of the unmanufactured tissue of the universe of your life. It is yours. It is the most precious of possessions. No one can take it from you. It is unstealable. And no one receives either more or less than you receive. In the realm of time, there is no aristocracy of wealth and no aristocracy of intellect. Genius is never rewarded by even an extra hour a day. And there is no punishment. Waste your infinitely precious commodity as much as you will, and the supply will never be withheld from you. Moreover, you cannot draw on the future. It is impossible to get into debt. You can only waste the passing moment. You cannot waste tomorrow. It is kept for you. You cannot waste the next hour. It is kept for you. I have said the affair was a miracle, is it not? You have to live on this 24 hours of daily time. Out of it, you have to spend health, pleasure, money, content, respect, and the evolution of your immortal soul. Its most effective use is a matter of the highest urgency and of the most thrilling actuality. All depends on that. Your happiness, the elusive prize you are all clutching for, my friends, depends on it. If one cannot arrange an income of 24 hours a day shall exactly cover all proper items of expenditure, one does muddle one's whole life indefinitely. We shall never have any more time. We have, and we have always had, all the time there is, by Arnold Bennett, How to Live on 24 Hours a Day. I love that because it speaks to what you're saying, and people don't realize how many time vampires and wasted minutes they have in their life, how much time they spend scrolling, how much time they're just driving. Like you talked about your morning walk. Instead of just letting my mind wander or an audiobook, I intentionally planned my use of time.
Yeah.
I think that's super powerful.
It is. Yeah.
So manage your time better. Hold the vision of the life you want. Hold it and feel it as if it's been for a while now.
Yeah.
So it's not I've achieved. It's not you're not at the Olympics holding the gold medal. You are the Olympian who's now, repeat wins, and you're coaching others.
That
Level of achievement. And then ask yourself, what can I do today to have the biggest impact on getting me from here to there?
Yeah.
It's powerful. That's amazingly powerful. I think that's huge.
And here's the thing, whenever any obstacle comes up, if you keep hitting the same roadblock, that's a consistent problem. Now you want to ask, why do I want this? What is this protecting me from? What's the hidden benefit here? So that can come up and you get those out of the way so you continue to move forward.
I love that. You're also talking about the power of positive psychology. Your roadblock isn't a prevention, it's a tool.
Yep.
But it's a tool being misused. I used to say there's no such thing as pollution. There's just the wrong chemicals in the wrong places. And so the idea is that you don't want the chemical there. And you're saying the problem is actually a solution. And you got to figure out what it's solving for you so you can get a different solution in there.
That's it. Yeah.
So you help people with this. You've got your New Year's Eve event. So what is this? And what's your book about? It's not done yet. You're working on it to launch soon.
Well, that's another book. I have a book out called How to Rewrite Reality. So this basically explains a lot of what we just talked about, how to implement it in your life. It'll explain where things have been going wrong and why, and and it's all written in the metaphor of stories. So in it, we talk about, let me see the table of contents.
What's the book title again? How to Rewrite Reality.
So we talk about your backstory, your genre, your purpose, supporting characters, driving the narrative, plot holes. And of course, the last chapter, that's a few of the chapters. The last chapter is called Happily Ever After. And yeah, it's just the instruction manual. And I've had people, one of my friends, he gave it to his son. And after reading How to Rewrite Reality, his son, who had been depressed for 3 years, came to depression.
That's fantastic.
People have reported smoother years, making more money. One person actually told me this year it saved his life.
I believe it.
So, yeah.
I believe it.
So How
Mindset
to
is
Rewrite
so
Reality.
powerful. You see, your mind is the filter with which you navigate the world. Our bodies are just vessels. And whatever your spiritual beliefs are, it's almost irrefutable if you think about it. Like you live up here somewhere and you look out. And so everything else is just like the vehicle that you're engaging with the world with. And you're never going to run a marathon and have your mind give up and your body carry you the rest of the way. So if there was one muscle to rule them all, it would be your mind.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's the thing, like a lot of people say mindset is, some people say 50%. I've heard some people say 90%. I'm like, you could have all the tools to be successful, but if you don't have the right mindset, you'll never use them. So the mindset is basically comes down to 100%.
It's so powerful. Here's another example for that. We have turned sand into intelligence.
Yes.
Because we turned sand into silicone chips, into computers, into AI. Like if I left you alone in the woods, how long until you come back having turned sand into intelligence? Like it's a mindset that it can be done. And then obviously the time and the knowledge applied and the teamwork and the collaboration. But that to me, that's like a miracle to this extent that if I rewind 30 years and I go, hey, this pan full of sand, the sand in my background, I'm going to make this smarter than you. People will laugh at me.
Yep.
But you have to have the vision and see it.
That's it. And that actually comes into my New Year's Eve event, because what that event is, it's called Release, Reset, and Reignite Your Magic for the new year. And the premise of this is you had this year and you've probably had business issues, family issues, been affected by world issues, and there's all these negative thoughts, limiting beliefs, all the stuff that has affected you. And in 4 hours, from noon to 4 Eastern, we pull them out. And that may seem a little unbelievable. However, we've been doing this for 12 years. People report better years, smoother lives, better health, better relationships. And our record holder for biggest physical change, after attending the event, he did an extra $3.8 million in business the next year. He said release he had of the old, and then followed immediately by the inspiration for the new once that space was cleared out, gave him the idea to start this business that made him $3.8 million.
That's crazy.
So
that's a success in one capacity. Obviously, different people are going to have different successes. Maybe it's a relationship. Maybe it's healing something in your health, your life that's in need of that. But that's a powerful thing. So it's noon to 4 p.m. Eastern on New Year's Eve. Is this an online event? It's online. Oh,
online.
okay.
We have people world. We even get people from Australia that get on after they go out for New Year's Eve.
Right. Because the time zone difference. We're 13 hours ahead right now. So if somebody's interested in this, where can they go to learn more?
You can go to energeticmagic.com, and there's a whole thing on events there. You can go into the events, and New Year's Eve is going to be there.
So you can go to energeticmagic.com, ENERGETIC magic. And when you're on the site, you can go to the events tab, the navigation, learn more info there, and check it out. See if there's a blockage, if there's a self-limiting belief. See if you're holding yourself back. Just by reframing how you think about something, it could unleash your potential to do more for yourself, for your loved ones, for your family, to bring your gifts to the world so you can help more people. It would be a shame for people listening to this to limit themselves and their potential, because they never took the step they needed to unlock their hidden potential. And my personal belief that we're all here on a journey. We're all going to die anyway. I also use this. Having said that, I'm going to counter myself. Some people believe that we die and we live an eternal afterlife. Some people believe in reincarnation where you come back again and again. Some people believe with technology, we're going to become immortal. In all three cases, we're talking about an immortal existence. And so what I think your type of work, and Shiraz will admit, like, we don't know each other super well, but from this type of work, my personal belief is this is about the kind of personal work you do to understand and think, what would my immortal self consider a trophy worth putting over the fireplace?
Nice. I like that.
And what's between me and that? And it's almost like the what would I do if I wasn't afraid kind of thing. And so I highly recommend people go check out energeticmagic.com. Check it out. Shiraz seems like an upstanding guy. He was referred to this podcast by a friend that's had massive breakthroughs and results. I mean, you've obviously been very forthcoming in sharing. I have a page of notes. Shiraz, is there anything I haven't asked you that I should have asked you?
Don't think so.
Okay. Awesome.
The only question I repeatedly get asked is, what would be the one message you want to send out to people? And for me, it's don't be afraid to be the happiest person in the room. It's the happiest person determines the level that everyone else can get to. So be the happiest.
I love that. I love that. Be the change you wish to see in the world.
Yep.
That's powerful. Shiraz, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an honor and a pleasure. Thank you for coming and sharing your genius and your gift. Audience, if you haven't yet, go check out energeticmagic.com. Thank you again for your time, your energy, your focus. I know it's late for you over there. I know you have your own direct reports, your own followers, your own staff, your own goals and visions that you should be spending your time on. Thank you for coming and spending some time with us so we can all do better.
Thank you for having me, Daryl. It's been great.